the third Terraforming Mars games we played is Terraforming Mars the dice game after Ares Expedition and the original Terraforming Mars, and we are going to do an overview and a review of it. So Terraforming Mars, I would say, is one of the most, like, it would be in my top 10, I would say.
Me as well, always enjoy playing it.
Yes.
Very, very good game. One of the classic heavier games of our time.
Yes, Tarrant really likes that too. And hello, I'm Stella, and that's Tarrant from Meeple University. Let's do it, Tarrant.
Yes, so this is Terraforming Mars.
I was hoping that you're gonna fall. You're gonna drop the dice in there.
Gotta get up pretty early in the morning.
Sorry, Tarrant.
So this is Terraforming Mars, the dice game. This is it's a dice game. Let's have a quick look at how it goes.
It's a dice game.
So there's two types. You'll take it in turns. You're still building up Mars. Mm-hmm. So just like its predecessors, you're still trying to increase the temperature, increase the oxygen, and place oceans. And everyone's trying to do those things, and you get points for being the one who achieves it. But those conditions, in this case 2 out of the 3, meeting the end of their track, is what triggers the end of the game. There's also some milestones and awards, and cards give you points, and there's all these other ways of getting points. All of your resources come from dice, so when you do a production turn, you get to draw up to 5 cards in hand.
So we assume that you know Terraforming Mars,
yes.
Right? Unless if you don't, then Tarrant will explain it, I'm sure.
Yeah. So on a production turn, you automatically get to draw up to 5 cards in hand. And you can discard some if you want, so it gives you a way of cycling through cards, looking through the cards you want. And if you've got any dice, you have to discard down to 3 dice. And then you gain your production dice. And so you would simply gain dice of the colour, and you would roll them. And each die has a common element that has 3 sides that match it. It's got an uncommon, which has 2, and it has a rare, which is only on 1 side. On all of your other turns, you get to do a support action, then a main action. In most cases, your support action is going to be either taking any one die and rolling it into your supply. So that's how you get the dice that aren't on your productions. Or you can spend it discarding 1 die to turn a die into another side. So like a lot of dice games out there, it's kind of like you can spend 2 dice to make one of them wild. Then you take a main action, and in most cases that's going to be to play a card from your hand. Pretend this is my hand. I'm going to look for one I can afford.
Just pretend that this actually is your dice or something.
Yes,
or you spend the dice as resource.
Some extra dice. Yep. So you would play a card. Its cost is shown in the top. So if I had a water and a Celsius, I would spend those back to the pool. I would get to play this, and depending on what it is, I get to resolve its effect. So red cards are events. They let you do whatever's printed on it. So here you'd be placing an ocean, getting the bonus shown on that ocean space.
Roll and gain.
And scoring a couple of points. What am I? I'm yellow.
That's me. Oh, yeah. Okay.
There are green cards. Green cards give you extra production of dice. So every time you come back and produce, you're going to be scoring more dice. Actually quite rare compared with the other Terraforming Marses where green is the most common. I think green might be the least common.
Well, I certainly struggle to find green at times.
Yep. And then there are blue ones, and like in the other game, they either give you some passive effects. Or they give you a once-off action which you can tap and then get back when you do production. And they're all various ways. This one is spending animals to get points. This one gives you green cubes when people put oceans down, and so forth. All those sorts of combinational sorts of things. The forest and city placement game is back. So it wasn't in Ares expansion. The board was basically just for oceans in that game. But here players can place cities and can place forests and get points immediately for what they are adjacent to. So again, you're now trying to get cities next to forests, forests next to cities. There's milestones and awards in the game as well. So milestones for the first to reach certain things. They're worth 4 points each. And the awards are all about getting cards that have this cost in them. So for water here, for example, I've got 3 water's cost worth of cards, and so that puts me in the running for those objectives.
Isn't that 2? What's the
2, sorry.
Yeah.
I have 2.
Yeah.
And that is the bulk of the game. The incentive for racing ahead, so in basic Terraforming Mars, it was that you got more income. In this case, the first players to reach 5 and 12 points get best pick of the bonus cards, and these are new cards that you get to play for free.
Quite powerful card, and then often are the production cards.
Often, yes. Often a good way of getting the production cards. And so that is the core of the game.
I love the chaining mechanic. So there are times you can change. You pay the costs, and you play a certain card, and then you gain another dice, and then where you can afford to play another card next turn. I mean, it needs to lap with 2 other players first, and then gets back to you. But the chaining is great. Now, I think this game is closer to the original Terraforming Mars than Ares Expedition to Terraforming Mars. The mechanic, although it's dice rolling, it's slightly different, but the main feeling is still closer to the main game rather than Ares. And this is actually, I think, a good way to introduce somebody that is beginner in board games to Terraforming Mars rather than Ares to the full game of Terraforming Mars.
I would agree with that. I think you'd be able to jump onto this game and play it, not only play it more easily, but also get used to what is a rare symbol versus what's not a rare symbol, and take that forward into full Terraforming Mars. Whereas I always thought Ares was, you kind of had to know the vibe of Terraforming Mars first, and then recognise that you were playing a cut down version of it.
And plus the mechanics is kind of like slightly different, although it has got sort of same feeling. It's more different with the card play. It's like, it's not on Terraforming Mars, the card play. I mean, it's different card play. I mean, now I'm contradicting myself. But this feels closer, basically. That's the end of my agreement. This is the closest one to Terraforming Mars.
Yeah.
Without playing Terraforming Mars. I do have this thing that I think dice hate me. I can guarantee that, and I think some of our friends also recognize that. You recognize that. I often roll really bad. I am glad that there are ways to mitigate those bad rolls by discarding another dice, but then it's like, I think it's not too bad in this one, but I think despite of that, I still enjoy it.
Yeah. I think there's some nice combos in this game. I think it is... I do really like that the board is back. That was really what I found Ares disappointing, because it didn't have that. So I always like the placement. It's not as tight as basic Terraforming Mars. It definitely had a very solitary feel, and a lot of people will say that with Terraforming Mars Basic anyway. But I felt, maybe just because it played more quickly, I felt it was very, very solitaire here. And I think even though you were racing for these sorts of things, the timing tightness wasn't quite the same. And so, I always felt like I was doing my own thing. I like that you could cycle through the cards more quickly. Basic Terraforming Mars, you're getting your combos, you're only seeing a few new cards each round. Yeah. This one, you get to see a lot of new cards and hunt for the ones that you want. And if you produce, then you get to do that for free. And it works pretty well with this dice game. So how they brought all the mechanisms together, I think works really well. But it is still extremely solitary. You're not going to get much, if any, feeling of interaction out of the game. Yeah,
so... if you enjoyed this video somehow, please hit the like button. And if you have played any of Terraforming Mars, or even if you haven't, let us know in the comments below if you have, which one's your favorite. And now we're going to share you our favorite for Terraforming Mars. Which game's your favorite? I mean, it's actually probably pretty clear. I still love the base game compared to the other two the most.
For me, I like the base game with all the...
which expansions?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the question.
For me, my favourite is the base game with all expansions except for Turmoil.
Oh. Yes. Okay.
Prelude kicks things off.
Yeah.
Everyone loves Prelude. It's pretty much the base one there. Venus, I don't love Venus by itself, but Colonies, by bringing in a lot of other things to do with floaters that aren't just Venus, kind of balances out the bolt-onness that Venus had. And then what Colonies brings in its own right, giving you ways to really work a microbe strategy and an animal strategy. I think that is a good addition to those more specialised tactics.
Yeah.
So all of those work really well together.
That's true.
Colonies wouldn't... I don't think Colonies would work without Venus, and I don't think Venus really works without Colonies.
I wouldn't mind Venus.
Venus does work, but I think it is much better with Colonies.
Right. I wouldn't mind Venus, but you're right. It works better with that. We have...
It does add a generation to the game if you've got Colonies.
Yes, true. We have friends who are fanatic of Terraforming Mars, and they once played Terraforming Mars for the whole day, and they use, 3 different maps?
They used all 3 boards next to each other, I think.
Yes. I was like, that is like... I can only imagine that. I wasn't there, but I can only imagine that the engine building would be like cards everywhere, boards everywhere. You need probably 3 different tables, maybe not.
Yeah. The amount of... I reckon, I mean, for me... Their complaint has always been the game ends just as your engine's getting going, which is the point of an engine building game. If you build your engine and then get to run it for 10 rounds, the game's still decided back here based on who's got the best engine. So I don't actually know if it would be a better experience. We haven't tried multi-board Terraforming Mars.
It's not in the rule book. I know, maybe you have tried. Let us know as well in the comment, right? We want to know how that experience went. And thanks for watching, everyone. Have a great day. Bye.